Hey Gabriela, my name is Abby, and today we are going to be talking about Saturn. This is the next video in the Astro series. I wanted to do this video before the sun moves into Aquarius, which will be happening on Monday, but I wanted to do this while the sun was still in Capricorn. Even though Aquarius is also co-ruled by Saturn, I still wanted to connect it back to the Earth a little bit. So I am currently in Atlanta. That's why the space looks all way bigger and like open. I love this Airbnb. It is owned by a woman of color, and she is awesome. She's super sweet. If you are interested in booking it, I guess if you ever want to come to Atlanta, the link will be down below to the location. So let's talk about Saturn. So Saturn is the planet of time. He is the planet of karma and restrictions, as people love to see him. He is definitely not loved by many. I love Saturn. I can be biased because he's my ruling planet. I am a Capricorn with Capricorn stellium, but Saturn energy and Saturn transits, Saturn period is not something that most people enjoy as far as having to go through, because they love the funner planets, I guess, you know, Mars, a little bit of Mercury, Venus, all this stuff. But Saturn is really important because he brings the energy of kind of like the paternal father figure of astrology would be Saturn. Saturn is the one that's a little bit harder handed because he has to deal karma, which includes past life. We're going to talk about that. But Saturn is a little bit more harder handed when it comes to taking care of you and how you're taking care of yourself, and really looking at where you're grounded, why you're not grounded, what's going to be the repercussions of you not being grounded or getting grounded, why you're not doing what you need to do to better yourself, to set yourself up for success, which is a big thing with him. And so when it comes to restrictions, you'll see this a lot in different placements. Like, for example, if you are a majority water sign, and then you'll have maybe a 12th house Saturn in the 12th house, you'll see a lot of spiritual restriction throughout your life, and there'll be a certain line that you cannot cross when it comes to spirituality, because Saturn, it's almost like the chart is trying to support the fact that if you can get way too deep in it, in the emotions, in the dream work, in the spirituality of the fact that you won't be balanced in the physical realm. So Saturn in different placements acts as a force of kind of like if I'm not here, you're going to go a little bit too far. And when you go too far, I need to deal you this karma, deal you this kind of like it's kind of like he's just checking on you, hey, you should have done this, or you should have, stuff like that. Like if you have Saturn in the first, for example, I actually saw this in somebody's chart recently that I was reading for them, and she had Saturn in the first house, but she was an Aquarius sun, and most of her placements it was interesting because a lot of it was just very grand ideas, very go, but she has Saturn in the first, and what that does to her personality is that anytime she tries to run too much without actually doing the work of getting there and building it up to get there, she would get checked, and it would just be like, you're not ready yet, you need to go back and do that. So Saturn has its benefits in the chart, where he really allows you to thrive. He gives you the opportunities to shine and to ground yourself and make yourself stronger in the areas and the restrictions that he puts on you. It's because he's trying to make you stronger in those areas. You're supposed to be using it's like if, let's say he's putting you inside a box, even though that's not necessarily what he does. Let's say he's putting you in the box. It's about how are you going to live happily through that box. How are you going to use that box to make it more you, to make it something that's beneficial to you, that's constantly being something that you can see as a positive thing versus a negative. So he kind of gets a lot of hate because it's almost like if you go ask your really, strict dad that you want something and he says no, it's kind of like the same thing. A lot of the time, if he doesn't give you something, it's because you're not ready. And again, that's when you will you'll meet that wall. Like, hey, no, you thought you were, but you're actually not, and you need to go back and do more work with yourself and really balance that out because you're not there yet. So when it comes to Saturn, the other thing to talk about is past lives. Saturn deals the karma when it comes to past lives. You can see this in astrology, you can see that in the chart when somebody's paying for a past life, especially if it's both shown in Saturn and Pluto. Both of those are two of the ones that I always check for past life work that somebody might want to do or have to do throughout their lives. In the chart, it will just be clearly stated. Saturn will be definitely a little bit more tough on somebody like that, and the reason for that is because what he's trying to do is basically you have a karmic debt to pay, and this lifetime, as you live your life throughout your whole entire life, you are going to be paying for this karma. And so you will get kind of heavy-handed throughout your life because Saturn would be in that placement. So it really depends on where Saturn is, which house, what is it, what is it doing, how is the relationship with the other planets as well. But for the most part, Saturn placements, especially like with retrogrades and stuff like that, they can show you a lot of past life work that needs to be done in order for you to heal. And when you have those type of placements, it's really important to kind of take the healing work into your hands. It has to be like, okay, I get it, this happened, this is what I'm doing, and this is another thing. Reading the Akashic Records would be another great thing to do to heal those past lives that are like a little bit stuck in order for you to properly move forward. Now, I wanted to talk about the Akashic Records a little bit with Saturn, and the reason being is because if you know how to read the Akashic Records and you went through like different trainings, or you just like read books, or you know how to read them, or however the case that you may have gotten there, then you know that one of the things that they say is that in the records, time does not exist. And when I first read that and was told that, I was a little bit hesitant to believe that time does not exist in the records, and the reason being why I'm like, hey, has nobody put this 2 and 2 together? So the records hold the information and the knowledge of everything that was and that ever will be, right? So that means that time exists within those everything that ever was and everything that ever will be. They hold the records themselves are timepieces, time little capsules that you can go look back, heal, and do all that stuff. While you're in the records, time does not exist, but it does hold time itself. It encapsulates it in a way. It like kind of freezes it in time, so you can reevaluate and have to go back. So when it comes to the records, Akashic Records work is actually very much Saturnian. It's also very much Uranus energy because he is higher consciousness, but it is very much Saturnian in the way that it's about time. It's about how you spent your time in a previous lifetime. It's about things that needs healing. It's about addressing those things in a different plane. So that's just something that I wanted to touch on personally while making the Saturn video. I thought it was important for those who are or want to do that type of work. Let me see. Am I missing anything? So Saturn rules 2 signs. It co-rules Aquarius, and it rules over Capricorn, which is why Capricorn is a cardinal sign, and it's a very earthy, goal-oriented, long-term, rules government, social status, career, very, very much long-term goal life, like I know what I'm going to be in 10 years type of things. Um, so with Capricorns themselves, they embody the energy of Saturn, and they take that energy and they apply it in the physical realm, because Saturn is very much about the physical realm. He wants to see results of the seeds that you have planted. That's the whole point. So that's I'm gonna dive into Capricorn a little bit more when I do the Capricorn, like the sign videos. But I just wanted to touch on that. With Aquarius is really interesting because the way, and I've been studying for a while, the way that Saturn affects Aquarius, I feel in a way a lot of the time it's in its fixed nature, because Aquarius can be so future thinking that if they were not a fixed sign, they would be very much mutable, or like in many ways carnal. They could have that potential to be that. But I feel like the way Saturn affects Aquarius is that kind of fixed nature, the grounding. It's like, hey, you can be super kind of able to look at society in this grander scale of things, but how are you going to apply that intellect and ground it back to the earth, and actually make it into something tangible? These ideas, how are you going to execute them on the real world? Where Uranus, really what Uranus wants is to change and grow and make things just shake up the norm and really start changes in different things. But it's like Saturn is like, okay, that's great that you want to do this, but what's going to happen after? How are you going to apply? Like, if we go into war, how are you going to apply these changes? How are we going to react to this? So it's almost like Saturn is there to kind of co-check Aquarius's airy kind of nature and bring a different type of grounding, which is why they can be a little bit weird as a sign. That's not shade, because I personally have Venus and Aquarius. I have a lot of Aquarius energy in my chart, and it's just stuff that I've noticed, being a little bit of both as well. So I think that's all I wanted to cover. Yeah, I think that's all I wanted to cover for Saturn. If anything, you guys know I talk about him all the time in the videos, because I am a Capricorn, so that's never gonna stop happening. But yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe though. Happy forgetting.